Jana Priya Priya Karo. Could you grab my blue hoodie out of the back seat of the car?
Okay.
Thank you. Could we get her mic'd up? Another mic stand. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srinivasa Acharya wrote about the Six Goswamis. It is very instructive because they're the direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he inculcated the main teachings that we're all following now. And it's actually amazing that we have such a close connection with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings that have been passed down. You can move in a little closer. You got to leave a little opening there in case people want to walk by and offer obeisance to Prabhupada. And so if we look at the Shad Goswami Ashtakam, we'll see in the translations that the Goswamis were engaged in kirtan. Krishna kirtana gana nartana paro. They were singing, dancing. Premamritam bo nidhi. Dhira dhira jana priyo priyakaro. Nirmatsaro pujito. So emphasizing that they were constantly engaged in chanting, dancing. And they're an ocean of love of God. So dhira dhira means that they were those who were dhira. Who knows what dhira means? What? Yeah, tolerant. And it also has a sense of those who are refined. But, because somebody who's tolerant means they have some kind of internal fortitude through which they can tolerate the things that most people who are adhira can't tolerate. So people who are adhira, have you ever met somebody adhira? Like they're just you have uncultured and very reactive adhira. So it's noted here that the way they moved in the world was that they were popular both with the dhira and the adhira. That's kind of rare. And only somebody who's non-envious, and people can sense that, are appreciated like that. So that's how the Six Goswamis were. And then, that's a good asan for you. Are you listening? Prabhu? Prabhuji, are you listening? All right, say yes. He says yes, okay. Yes, okay, good. So whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they're fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Who wants to be fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya? Okay. Thus, they're engaged in missionary activities. Who's engaged in missionary activities? No, all of you. How many? Whom of all of you are engaged in missionary activities? Come on, raise your hands. If you didn't raise your hands, see me afterwards. We have a service for you. Okay. And they're meant to deliver, missionary activities are meant to deliver all the conditioned souls of the material universe. And the next verse says that Next verse, translation. Says, Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipuno. Sunipuno, said it so many times, what does it mean? Sunipuno. Yes, Prabhu? Can we get the microphones flowing fast? We need them all out here, every one of them. Thank you.
Could you repeat what you wanted? I couldn't find anything in your car.
Blue hoodie?
Hoodie? Yeah, I couldn't find a blue hoodie. There's a creamish one in the car though.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Sunipuna is someone who, like, Shastra Sunipuna is one who sees through the eyes of Shastra. So they were able to, someone who understands the essence of it. So, like, in this case, like, Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipuna means someone, they understood the essence of Shastra and they were able to understand it very deeply and see all of the connections within it.
Yes, seeing all the connections, being able to put together. So being spiritually advanced it's not just some emotional state, although it is that too. But it also has to do, thank you. Here. I know I told to get the blue hoodie, and then it's hard to tell if this is blue or it's gray. Well, it's one of the symptoms of somebody who's spiritually advanced is that he or she knows the scriptures. So the main books that we need to know are 5. Which 5 do you think they are that we should know? Okay, go ahead. Give him a mic.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay, that's 1. Give me number 2.
Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, 2. What's number 3? Pass it around. Give it to Amara.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Correct. Number 4.
Nectar of Instruction.
Okay, we'll count it. And number 5? Yes.
Knowledge of the Self-Realization.
Nectar of Devotion. Would that be all right? Okay, those 5. Although that's a good, they're all good choices. But these are 5 main books. If you know all these well, if you go deeply within them, there's a way in which you become Shastra Sunipuna. And most of the other teachings are assumed within these 5 books. What does assumed mean? Could we have it looked up? Do you know what it means? Susum. You know what it means? Susum. Give him the mic. I think he's going to tell us something. What do you think? Did somebody look it up? You got it?
Bhagavad Gita.
What did he say? Okay. That's all you got to say. All right.
So Susum, it
Spell it.
Subsume. Or is that the wrong word?
Susum. Like Summ. You. Yeah, please tell us. Sorry, it's my pronunciation. It's me, it's not you.
Sorry. To include or place within something larger or more comprehensive, or encompass as a subordinate or component element.
Yeah, could you say it a little louder though, please?
To include or place within something larger or more comprehensive, encompass as a subordinate or component element.
Thank you. Are you studying law by any chance? Okay, you could be a good trial lawyer. You have a good commanding voice. Susum. So how did we use it? How did I say it in a sentence? Can you say it again? Use the word susum. Prabhu, you use it. You've got a good understanding of it. The way I just said it, yeah.
You were saying that if you understand those 5 scriptures, it encompasses all the knowledge found in all the scriptures.
Yeah, the other teachings would be subsumed within your area of study. Yeah, so it's a good idea for everybody to learn all those books, and then whenever there are other scriptures that are available, and there are plenty, then you can see them through the lens of the teachings of these 5 books, and you'll probably not come to the end of it. Prabhupada once said that you should know something about everything and everything about something. And especially if you put a lot of energy into these, even 4 books, CC, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, and the Bhagavad Gita, then you could become Shastra Sunipana, be able to explain all the different aspects of Krishna conscious philosophy. So this would be following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis, who are scrutinizingly, where does that word come from? Can we have that one too, please? Okay, Mike.
Okay, so it comes from scrutiny, so I'm going to say the origin of that word.
Yeah.
So it's from the early 15th century, a vote to choose someone to decide a question. From late Latin, scrutinium, a search or inquiry. In medieval Latin, a mode of election by ballot. From Latin, scrutari, to examine, investigate, or search. From Proto-Indo-European root screw, to cut, a cutting tool, meaning close examination, first recorded in 1600. Perhaps the original notion of the Latin word is to search through trash, via scruta, plural trash rags, shreds, or the original sense might be to cut into, scratch.
Wow, a lot there in the history of the word. So we should examine closely the different shastras. Kayla Kunja Kumari, what is your experience with, because you're going deeply in the scriptures, what it takes to closely examine these 4 shastras?
Well, in my opinion, I think it definitely takes time, and it also takes consistency. And I'd also add repetition to that, because first you need to take the time to actually open the book and then look through it and read it. And then when you do it consistently, it kind of becomes more of a habit, and your brain it's easier for your brain to adjust and read. And then repetition is really good because you pull out details you've never read before. Like, for example, this is not a Shastra, but it's The Journey Within by Radhanath Swami. I've been reading it with so many different groups that I think I've read the first chapter of that book like 6 times. And every single time I read it, I pull out new things. And same thing with the Gita, right? Like, we grow up reading it, but every time we read it and like we look at purports, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, it's something you didn't see before. And so that's been really helpful for me personally. So that was repetition, taking time out, consistency. Yeah.
Excellent. Bravo. What is your thoughts on it, since you're so deeply engaged in studying the Shastra?
One thing I find helpful is discussion about Shastra can really help you understand more than what you just read. when I read it, like sometimes it's just like words passing through my brain, but when I take the time to discuss it with somebody, I can pull out their perspective, and I can gain a lot more from just doing it by myself.
Oh, I like that one a lot. That's a really good point. Thank you very much.
Sort of like role play, like someone acts in the Bhagavad Gita in the first chapter, someone acts Sanjaya, someone acts Dhritarashtra, someone acts Arjuna, and someone acts Krishna. So that really helped me remember all these things, and it actually took me into like my character's point of view.
That's great. Do you do that at home?
Yes, Maharaj.
We have to try that out. That goes for you too. Well, there's a lot of good ideas, and the point is to make it a priority, just as the Six Goswamis. So we're followers of the Six Goswamis of Vrindavan, and if we take the same course of action they did, then we'll also be able to make rapid spiritual advancement because of it. So scrutinizingly studying the revealed scriptures, and they did it with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings, and we can do it for the benefit of all human beings also. How would that work? Not that we're going to write all these shastras, but what if we studied them all? Aprame? How would it help all living beings for the benefit of all human beings? What are some of the ways?
I was actually, as Maharaj, when you were saying that, I was remembering this one line Srila Prabhupada said in, I think, one of the first few purports in the Bhagavatam, where he says that when the only way you can actually truly know something is when you're able to speak about it. And so I'd assume the first process would be like reading it and then going out and actually trying to send that knowledge that you've got out in book distribution and things like that.
Nice. Any other thoughts about that? How it would be for the benefit of all human beings? If you got a really deep education in the Shastras, how would it do good for other people? Give me something tangible. Srivatsa.
I would say the best way is to explain to them the conclusions of all of the scriptures, because people are in dire need of actual clarity in life and why things are happening, and even and doubts usually are they're like poison, especially in spiritual life. But by being able to, by taking the study of this of these books seriously and being able to explain it to people, to remove all their doubts, it'll really bolster people's spiritual lives and really give a huge level of enthusiasm to keep going.
Has anybody here listened to Prabhupada's lectures consistently? A little bit? I'll make a couple suggestions. I think that you should listen to his voice. There's a program you can subscribe to online called Prabhupada Vani. Radha Venkat Prabhu told me about it, and I signed up for it a month and a half ago. And you can either have the lecture come in once a day or once a week. And they'll send you about a 20-minute lecture usually, and it just comes in the morning. And then you can add it into your day, but it's really edifying to be able to hear Prabhupada's voice. Also, I'm working to get more. Have you seen those little red boxes? I'm not looking at it, we're actually ordering some, so that to make sure that devotees who want to have those, to carry them around and listen, can do that. The reason I brought it up is when you hear Prabhupada speaking to varieties of people, you kind of get a sense of what we're talking about here, as how he gave eternal religious principles for the benefit of human beings. Just this morning I was listening, and he was talking to a professor who became very favorable to Krishna consciousness, and he was asking Prabhupada a lot of questions. He was a scholar of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but he needed a lot of clarification. And I'm sure it went a long way after he met Prabhupada to get the answers that he got, to be able to expand on the nuances of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to his students and in his PhD research writing and everything like that. That's one example, but Prabhupada met with hundreds and hundreds of people like that and explained to them the principles of Krishna consciousness. And all of you can do that too. And from whatever level you understand the Nectar devotion, Bhagavad Gita, and so forth. Prabhupada used to emphasize learning the Bhagavad Gita because it's such a well-accepted Shastra all over the world. When you go into any spiritual circle, people normally have heard of Bhagavad Gita and will respect those who know it well. It's a standard book of knowledge in the world. So it's a good idea to kind of know the whole thing as well as you can. Is anybody working on that? Learning the Bhagavad Gita well? Yes? Can you tell us what you're doing?
I think I'm doing like everything that Keeli Kunjakumari and Advaita said, and I'm also, another thing I found super helpful, especially with Bhagavad Gita, because sometimes it's pretty hard to understand. So I usually I ask questions a lot to, like, I don't know, my dad. So I ask questions a lot, and I just when the questions get answered, it's kind of like I remember that point now because I asked a question about it, so I remember the point. So slowly, I'm getting there.
I like that point very much, Gita Priya. You know, I've often pointed out that in a good study session and the way you talked about having conversations and discussions, it's more helpful to come out with more questions than answers, or at least as many questions as answers, because then you're in a ready state to ask when you meet somebody qualified to answer the question. And that's one of the ways that we're able to become Shastra Sunipana. If you always have good questions, then you're always searching for the person who might have the answer. And as Louis Pasteur once said, great discoveries come only unto the prepared mind. So there's a way that when you're listening to other things and you'll hear the answer somewhere where you weren't expecting it, and you go, aha, there it is, I'm going to get it now. And then that goes into your repertoire. And you're able to collect, we never come to the end of it. It's not like there's a plateau that you come to and say, now I know everything. Never say that. Like some people do. You show them the book and then they say, I know everything. So, okay, so final. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds and are worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed in the mood of the Gopis. So when the devotees first, that is, the first devotees that Prabhupada made were in America. And he went back to India after being in America for a couple of years. And one of the places where he took a lot of his Western disciples, American, European, and they went to Sharat. And the people there are very pious. And when they saw these Europeans and Americans dancing and doing kirtan and everything, they honored them in a very heartfelt way. People came out to offer them things. They took the dust from the road that the devotees had just walked on to do their kirtan and so forth. And Prabhupada had said that because you're following the four regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna, he said everywhere you go in the world you'll be honored, because practically nobody's doing that. And you'll be outliers because of that. So, people are looking for ways to distinguish themselves in the world. And you may do it academically or through sports or something like that. But there's always somebody better, or it's not as consequential or not really consequential at all compared to a person who's a pure devotee or following a pure devotee and is dedicated to learning the Shastra and knows it enough to explain it so that other people can understand it. So it's the suggestion of Srinivas Acharya that we should follow in the footsteps of the Six Goswamis and become expert like that. And then how is it, in what way are we in the mood of the Gopis? Sounds a little esoteric, doesn't it? But can somebody bring it down to earth a little bit? Give some Shastra? Yes. Okay.
Well, you said bring it down to earth, and we are on earth, and Krishna is in the spiritual world. So I guess the Gopis have also faced several moments of separation, and we're also living that same
Ooh,
mood
that's
of
nice.
separation.
Okay, I like that a lot. Very nice. Gora.
When we think the mood of the gopis, we always think of separation. But another thing I noticed is whenever they see Krishna, they also want to serve Krishna. Like there will always be the gopis fanning Krishna. They will be giving them a massage. And I feel like one of the ways we can do that is by when we go to book distribution, sometimes we might get so happy that we distributed books. But the ulterior thing is that we were in that mood at least for a little bit while we were distributing the books.
Very nice. Well said, sir. Mike over there. 1, 2. Could somebody grab me a copy of Our Family Business? Is that available?
So
it's sold out. Try to make me feel better. Okay,
I think
go ahead.
one way that we are like the Gopis is by relating everything we can to Krishna. And there's a verse from the Sri Upanishad 1, everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore only accept those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
I like it. Thank you. Well done. Yes.
We're like the gopis in the sense that like we do bhoga, we do arti, we play instruments for Krishna, and we treat Krishna like a person, just like the gopis treated Krishna like a person, because I mean he was a person. Yeah. Yeah. Like they saw him personally. So we're like the gopis in a sense that we do that daily with a mood for serving Krishna.
Bravo. Well done. Very well done. Okay. I haven't read this since I wrote it, so I can't remember where everything is. Prabhupada, I've mentioned this before, that at the early start of the book distribution movement, of course it was always there, but there was a definite spike around 1973. And a lot of devotees were distributing books around the world. And one of the devotees who was leading the book distribution movement, everyone okay? They were preaching about how book distribution is in the mood of the gopis. And some of the devotees were a little concerned that that was maybe too esoteric. And so they wrote to Prabhupada. This is a historical, important letter, so I'm going to read it to you. I found the letter that was written to Prabhupada and then his response. That's what I'm going to read if I find it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Well, I found it. This is called, this subsection is called Mood of the Gopis. Now let's hear how Srila Prabhupada practically applies this esoteric principle to those engaged in distributing his transcendental books. In 1974, at ISKCON Los Angeles, New Dwarka, Rameshwar Das, the appointed Sankirtan leader, had gleaned from Srila Prabhupada's teachings that those who distribute Srila Prabhupada's books are directly participating in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, and in doing so, following in the footsteps of Krishna's most intimate servants in the spiritual world. Haribol. Here, Rameshwar gives an inkling of the mood in 1974. Quote, I began to see that the Sankirtan devotees were in direct contact with the storehouse of love of Godhead that Lord Chaitanya had broken open 500 years before, and that Srila Prabhupada had brought that same storehouse to the earth again. The Sankirtan devotees were connected to Srila Prabhupada and also, therefore, to the divine pleasure energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through this service. It was flowing through his divine grace, filling the world with ecstasy and transcendental knowledge. Unquote. In his lectures at the New Dwarka Temple, Rameshwar repeatedly referred to the service of book distribution as a tasteful arrangement for souls to be joined in loving service to Krishna, a service that follows the mood of the Gopis of Vrindavan. Rameshwar recalls that his classes about Sankirtan were going out to all the temples to enliven the book distributors, but that some devotees doubted his conclusions. At that time, what is your name? What's his name? Huh? I can't hear. Sanvik. 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 Back in those days, when we passed around kirtans and things, we used a thing called a tape recorder. You know you don't know. You can't even buy one now. I looked online. They're just not available anymore. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It came a little cassette with actually physical tape that ran through it, no digital media. Can you believe that? Does that sound fantastical? Say yes. Okay. Okay. Indeed, a number of devotees wondered if Rameshwar's conclusions were accurate. To clarify the matter, Nandulal Devi Dasi, who just passed away recently, wrote to Srila Prabhupada on May 23, 1974. I have heard Rameshwar Prabhu in Los Angeles say that when we are performing Sankirtan, we are engaged in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is the union of Radha and Krishna, and he explained that just as Radharani is even more anxious to arrange for the other gopis to meet with Krishna than she is for herself to meet Krishna, and that the other gopis are also trying to think of ways in which to arrange meetings between Radha and Krishna. So when the devotees are going out and trying to engage the suffering conditioned souls, actually what we are doing is trying to arrange for some of her lost souls to meet with Krishna once again. And that this is the Leela of Lord Chaitanya. Is this the proper understanding of Sankirtan? That's the letter that was sent to Prabhupada by Nandulal Devi Dasi. Srila Prabhupada replied on June 9th, 1974. The explanation given by Rameshwar that Sankirtan is Lord Chaitanya's Leela, which he compares to the gopis trying to engage in Krishna's service, is the correct understanding. Say Haribol. That this esoteric service is available even to newcomers is thus a great opportunity. Anyone who takes up the service of distributing Srila Prabhupada's transcendental books in a humble mood is at once linked to such confidential devotional service. Quote, the Sankirtan devotees are very, very dear to Krishna. Because you are doing the field work of book distribution, Krishna has immediately recognized them as true servants. That last quote was from Srila Prabhupada's letter. From the top, please. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priya Priyakara Nirvatsara Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuva Bharavahantarako Bande. Okay. Shri Jiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunao Saddharma Sanstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Gunarna Varna Ravida Shradha Samriddhyan Vito Apotapa Nikrintano Tanubritam Govinda Ganamrita Anandam Buddhi Vardanaika Nipuno Kaivalya Nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Jakva Turnama Sheshamandalapati Shrenim Sadatu Chavat Budvadina Ganesha Karunaya Kaupina Kanta Shrita Gopi Bhavara Samratabdi Lahari Kalola Magno Mohu Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Pujat Kokila Hansa Sarasagana Kinye Mayura Kule Nani Vanama Ditapa Shri Yukta Vrindavane Radha Krishna Mahanisham Prabhajato Jivarta Doyo Mudha Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Sankhya Purvakanamagana Natibi Kalavasani Krito Nidrahara Viharakari Vijita Tatyanta Dino Jaya Radha Krishna Guna Smritir Madhurima Nandena Sambhojita Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Radha Kunda Tate Kalinda Tanaya Tire Chavam Shivate Premon Madhavashara Shesha Dashaya Grasto Pramato Sada Jayanto Chakata Harer Gunavaram Bah Pavibhuto Buddha Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Jiva Gopalago Hey Radhe Vrajadevake Chalalite He Nanda Sunakutaha Shri Govardhana Kalpa Patale Kalindi Vande Kutaha Doshanta Viti Sarvato Vrajapure Ke Devaha Vivalo Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalago Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalago Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalago Go Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo And now we have the Kevalanamashtakam. Who knows the Kevalanamashtakam? Yes? Can you just give us a little hint while she's looking it up? Do you remember it? Monisha gets the mic. Any fragment or part of the tune? Can anybody remember? No, that's the Namashtakam. We want the Kevala Namashtakam. Someone help. Who's singing it? Who's singing? What? Sing it, Sadhu. There you go. Madaram Madarebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Harinami Vakevalam. Let's hear a couple of tunes and we'll choose which one we like the best. Sing it.
Madhura Madhurebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Harinameva Kevalam Abhramastamba Paryantam Sarvamayam Jagat Satyam Satyam Puna Satyam Harinameva Kevalam Saguru Satvita Japi Samata Bandhavo Pisa Shikshaye Chit Sadasmatum Harinameva Kevalam Nishvasena hi Vishvasa Kadharudho Bhavishyati Kirtaniyamato bhavya
Harinameva Keval. Keep going.
Harisadhavase tatra
Yatra Bhagavata Jana
Gayanti
bhakti bhavena Hare Nameva Kevalam Ahodukam Mahadukam Dukha Dukha Taram Yata Kachartam Visritam Ratna Harinameva Kevalam Diyatam Diyatam Karno Niyatam Niyatam Bhaja Giyatam Giyatam Nityam Harinameva Kevalam Vinikritya Jagat Sarvam Rajate Sakalopari Chidanandamayam Shuddham Harinameva Kevalam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Get a mic.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama. Put the translation up. Translation. Rama Hare. Read the first translation.
Of sweet things, it's the sweetest you will taste at any time. Of things that bring good fortune, it's good fortune's paradigm. Of things that purify, it purifies most powerfully. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
From Brahma's realm, atop the sky, down to the lowly grass, illusion reigns in Maya Devi's treacherous morass. The truth, and the only truth, the name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
He's the Guru, he's the Father, he's the friend most true, and she's the real mother who most kindly teaches you to always chant and hear the holy name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Remember that our final breath may come at any time, no matter if we're old and sick or in our youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Lord Shri Hari forever dwells wherever devotees whose hearts are fixed upon him and free of all impurities uplift their voices high and sing his name in ecstasy. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Alas, what sorrow, what great pain, the worst calamity, for people to forget the holy name of Shri Hari. Although the name's a priceless gem, mere broken glass they see, the holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Just fill your ears. Just fill them with the name of Shri Hari. Just chant the name. Just chant the name with all sincerity. Just sing the name. Just sing the holy name eternally. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
It makes this world appear like bits of straw upon the ground. It splendorously reigns supreme, divinity in sound. It's filled with transcendental bliss and peerless purity. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Is there a part two to that? Second part? Okay, go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Inspired to glorify the holy name of Sri Hari, a certain sage composed this hymn in Sanskrit poetry. I pray that those who read this lowly version made by me will chant the holy name of Sri Hari in ecstasy.
Go Premanande Shri Harinam Kevalanam Ashtakam Ki Jai. Okay. Anvik, what did you think of the song?
What did you think of the song? What did you think of the song?
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Let's give him.
Yes.
What part did you like?
What part did you like?
Madhura Madhura Baby. He said the Maha Mantra. He said the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha.
He said what? He liked the Maha Mantra the best. Anvik, very good. First class. Okay. So, can I have the Chaitanya Charitamrita, please, from where we left off last time? Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And as we're waiting for the Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we should remember that we're the luckiest people on the earth because we have direct access to such things. Some people don't have direct access. Some people have access, but they don't have any interest. So if you have access and interest, then you're counted amongst the luckiest people on earth. What is your opinion? Can you expound upon that? Give some shastra. Which verses say that somebody is interested in devotional service, he or she is rare? You can use a lifeline. Good dancing. Very good dancing.
No.
What do you got? What? You could use a lifeline?
Yes, yeah, I'm giving her the lifeline.
Okay, tell us. No, just give a fragment. A fragment is okay. Just even a whiff of an idea is okay. You don't have to get it perfect.
Sukeshri Mataji is saying that Bahunam Janmanamante is the verse that supports this.
Okay. Do you know that one? Sounds like you know it.
I don't know this.
Bahunam janmanam ante gyanavanam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sadurlabaha. So, who wants to just give some hints about it? Do you have any hint about it? A little bit? Okay. Who can say? Yes.
After many, many births, one comes to the realization that Vasudeva is the supreme. And when one comes to that realization and he practices bhakti, he never comes back into the material world.
Bahunam Jamanamante, after many, many births and deaths, right? Jnanamam prapadyate, that those who are in pursuit of knowledge come to surrender to Krishna, prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti, they say that the Vasudeva is everything. Sa mahatma sadurlabha. Sadurlabha means they're very, very rare. Those people are very rare. Who can give one more? Something about the rarity of devotional service. We might just take it for granted because we're around devotees all the time and think everybody knows this. Or, it's something. Somebody said? Of course. Prabhu? Give it.
We were thinking Manushyanam Sahasreshu. Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhaye Yatatam Api Siddhanam Kaschin Yo Veti Tattvataha.
Kaschin Mam
Veti Tattvataha.
Yes. Please, translation, or just explain it, please.
So Manushyanam Sahasreshu, out of several hundreds of people, Kaschit Yatati Siddhaye, one will look for perfection. Siddhaye is also called Siddhi Yoga. And out of hundreds and thousands of people who attain that kind of Siddhi, one will know Krishna as he is. And
Hardly one will know. So, very good, Prabhu. Bravo. In his translation, Prabhupada uses out of many millions among men, one may endeavor for perfection. Of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Give me one from the Bhagavatam. Yes.
Mukta nam api siddha nam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. That out of all of the perfected beings and liberated people, there are very few that are actually prashantatma. They're peaceful at heart, and those people are Narayana Parayana. They're the servants of Lord Narayan.
How many sages and how many demigods are there?
A lot.
Just look it up. Put up Muktanam. We'll give you a number you can take to your calculus class. Put up the verse, Muktanam apisidhanam, if it doesn't ruin knowing where this is. Muktanam apisidhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishapi mahamune. It's a great purport. You got to see it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go to the end of the purport. End. Stop. Okay, read it. Srivata, read these. Navakotyas to Devanam. Get ready, everybody. Go.
Navakotyas devanam rishaya saptakotaya narayanaya na sarve ye kechit tatparayana. There are 90 million demigods and 70 million sages who are all called Narayanayana, devotees of Lord Narayana. Among them, only a few are called Narayana Parayana.
Haribo! And Vic, how many demigods are there? Now just listen to him, he'll tell you.
90 million demigods and 7 million sages.
Haribo! What's the last verse? Give him the mic. Anvik, here, use the mic.
Adhyadasya daprahana brahmayadana kancha sekuhasa siddhu yoga sukham labalan.
Hey! Translation. Read the last three lines. The difference between.
Different between the Siddhas and the Narayana Puranas is the direct devotee are called Narayana.
Mike.
Whereas those who perform various type of mystic yoga called Siddhas.
Very good, Anvik. Okay. All right. We're back to Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm going to read you a couple verses, okay? Please say yes. Nano pachara krita pujanam arta bando prem naiva bhakta hridayam sukha vidrutam syat yavat shud asti jatare jarata papisa tavat sukhaya bhavato nanu bhakshapeye. Nana upachara. Say. By varieties of offerings. Krita, performed. Pujanam, worshipping. Artabandho, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the friend of all distressed persons. If there's any distressed persons in here, raise your hand. Okay. If you're not, block your ears. Premna, by ecstatic love. Eva, indeed. Bhakta Hridayam, the heart of a devotee. Sukha Vidrutam, melted in transcendental bliss. Syat, becomes. Yavat, as long as. Shut, appetite. Usti, there is. Jatari, in the stomach. Jarata, strong. Pipasa, thirst. Tavat, so long. Sukhaya, for happiness. Bhavata, are. Nanu, indeed. Bhakshya, eatables. Peye, and drinkables. Did you have any drinkables? Were there any drinkables? Water? Okay. That's what they give for the Sunday feast? Ramananda Roy continued, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, Varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. Please repeat. Ramananda Roy continued. As long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. Text 70. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukraterna Labhyate. Sing it. Do the verse.
Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati.
You got it?
Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekaram Janma koti sukritena labhyate.
Everybody. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Jadi Topi Labhyate Tatra Lauyam Api Mulya Mekalam Janma Koti Sukritena Labhyate.
Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati.
Try it like Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavitamati.
Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati.
Mati
Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate.
Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate.
Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam.
Tatra lalyam api mulyam ekalam.
Janma koti suktera labhyate. Janma
koti suktera. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavita. Absorbed in the mellows of executing devotional service to Krishna. Mati, intelligence. Kriyatam, let it be purchased. Yadi, if. Kutta api, somewhere. Labhyate, is available. Tatra, there. Lalyam, greed. Api, indeed. Mulyam, price. Ekalam, only. Janmakoti, of millions of births. Sukritai, by pious activities. Na, not. Labhyate, is obtained. Anvik, read the translation, please. Keep the mic on your mouth.
Pure devotee, a pure devotional service of in Krishna's conscience cannot be have even by a precious activity in 100,000 of life. I can be attained only by paying one price, that is instead greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pure devotional service and Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Please repeat. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price. That is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol! Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Purport. The previous two verses are included in the Padyavali 13 and 14, an anthology compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Verse 69 refers to devotional service in faith, and verse 70 refers to devotional service rendered out of intense greed. The first is devotional service rendered in accordance with the regulative principles, and the second refers to spontaneous loving service of the Lord without extraneous endeavor. Henceforward, the basic principle underlying the talks between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Ramananda Roy will be spontaneous loving service to the Lord. The regulative principles, according to the injunctions of the Shastras, are necessary insofar as one's original dormant Krishna consciousness is not spontaneously awakened. An example of spontaneous action is the flowing of rivers into the ocean. Nothing can stop this flow of water. Similarly, when one's dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened, it spontaneously flows to the lotus feet of Krishna without impediment. Whatever will be spoken henceforth by Ramananda Roy, based on spontaneous love, will be agreeable to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord will ask him more and more about this subject. I have a few questions. What was the last verse? Before this one, the first verse that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted as being agreeable to the question he had answered. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. Srivata, go ahead.
It was a verse by Lord Brahma in the 10th canto. I think I remember the first 3 lines. I'm not sure about the last one. But
Go for it.
Gyani prayasa namanta udapasya eva jivanti san mukaritam bhavadiya varta stane stita shrutigata tanuvan manobhir ye prayaso jita
Jito.
Apitre
Pyasitais trilokyam.
Pyasitais trilokyam.
Could you give us the essence of the meaning?
From what I understood, it was that like the speculators.
Close that. You can keep your mask on if you want, but just keep the mic close.
Sure. Basically it glorifies pure devotional service over the actions of speculative knowledge, and specifically it describes how one can travel by sound, Shruti Gata, and one can and while staying in one's very same position in terms of varnashrama or one's position in life, one can progress towards the ultimate goal and conquer the unconquerable Lord.
Very well done. Haribol. Okay. And now I have a question about which verses that you know of in the Bhagavatam or elsewhere that describe spontaneous devotional service in any way, shape, or form. I'll give you a hint. You know some. Does that help? Like a haituki? Somebody want to give us the verse that has the word haituki in it? That'll be nice. Okay. Give it.
Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje haitaki apritihata yato yayatma suprasadati.
Can you tell us a little bit about the verse, please? Anything at all. Doesn't matter how much, even if it's a dab. Little dab will do you.
Well, it talks about how like
Hold the mic close, please.
it talks about how that you should like Krishna consciousness. It talks about like the spontaneously Krishna consciousness.
Who spoke the verse? Very good. Very good. Who spoke that verse?
Six Goswamis.
Very good. Can anybody say more about it? Yes.
The supreme occupation for all is to do devotional service unto the Lord, and the devotional service should be unmotivated and uninterrupted.
Yes, very good. Very well. Anyone else? Book a verse or some place where you can describe this mode of devotional service. It's spontaneous. From any pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar devotion. Okay, Srivata.
I was thinking about Evam Vrataswa. That one.
Go for it.
Evam Vrataswa Priyanama Kirtya Jata Anurago Drita Chitta Uchay Hasatya Taurau Titirauti Gayatyun Madhavan Nrityati Loka Bahya. This verse talks about how when someone, after chanting the name and doing their vrata for a while, they start to experience ecstatic symptoms, and sometimes because they don't care about what society thinks, they're lokabahya, so they're indifferent to what society thinks, and sometimes they start dancing randomly, sometimes they just start laughing out of nowhere, and they experience They act like a madman out of ecstasy.
And what is the description of the state of heart of such a person? Can you say the Sanskrit? Dhruta chitta.
Dhruta chitta.
So dhruta means melted, chitta means the heart. In that case, so there is a way in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes a spontaneous devotional service when the heart begins to melt because it's touched by a ray from the internal potency of the Lord. And then there's a mellows within the heart. The devotee is actually experiencing the relationships and the pastimes of Krishna in the heart and begins to enjoy internally and spontaneously thinking of Krishna and doing devotional service, thinking of ways to please Him. There's a more practical way Prabhupada talks about spontaneous devotional service in the Nectar of Devotion. Who's read that and can say something about it? Very practical way. He describes transferring from Vaidhi Bhakti into spontaneous devotional service. Vrindadevi Tulsi Maharani ki jai.
So the verse is Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadhyanavritam Anukulyenu Krishnanu Sheelanam Bhaktiruttama. Means that one should render devotional service without any motivation, and it should be uninterrupted and unmotivated, and without any philosophical speculation. And in this way, one can achieve the highest goal.
Very nice. Can you give an example that Prabhupada gives in what it looks like for us when we're doing devotional service and it starts to become more spontaneous? Can you remember from the Nectar of Devotion? That was a very good, nice citation, by the way. And so he says that in the beginning, one has to force oneself to rise early in the morning. Anyone? No? What a relief. I hope it's not just me. Okay, so then rise early in the morning, and then at first one has to be very regimented to go and do well, of course we stay regimented always to do deity worship, but the point is it's a discipline. It feels as if it's a discipline. And then Prabhupada says, then when you start thinking, oh, I can't wait to get up early, and the devotee's thinking all different ways to make garlands, different kinds of garlands, and how to dress the deities. Oh, I want to get this outfit. I want to dress like that. If I'm going to hang the necklace just like this, and Krishna's flute's going to be like that. And then he or she can't wait to get up to go and do the devotional services and go to the Mangal Arati. And it starts to become spontaneous. You just want to do it. So he describes it like that. That's something we can kind of relate to, right? Another example he gives in the... Yes, Vedant.
It's kind of like waking up and it's your birthday every day.
Hey, nice. Hare Krishna. Yeah, and that's a good way of looking at it, because in the Padyavali, which Srila Prabhupada's mentioned here in the purport, it's a compendium of verses. And in many of them, there's descriptions to these kind of ways that you're thinking, or that you just mentioned, Vedanta, about how the kind of worldly ways in which we're spontaneous. For instance, he gives the example of a lover waiting for a love note coming. How many times does he or she check the mail? Or maybe now it's email. It's like, did they write? Did he write? Did you write? Didn't write. And so he said, in the same way, may I have that same eagerness to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And and the person becomes absorbed just like that. Do we have time for one more kirtan? Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. What are you in the mood for? Back to China or to the monsoon? Both. You could say both. You would say both. He's got the laulium, that kind of greed, right? Okay. Which one? Oh my God. How do we count the votes here? You need one of those voting machines. Huh? I can't hear anything because of the masks anyway. You know?
No, I was just saying.
This is ridiculous.
Maybe we can raise our hand.
Okay.
Monsoon, then.
Monsoon. China. Okay, it's China. I'm just kidding. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rohini, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Haribo, Braja, Krishna, Braja, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Haribo! Anbik. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna. Slow, slow.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Slow it down. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Srivatsa.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Double again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaura Premanande. Monsoon. Okay. It's almost midnight. Everyone's got to go to bed. So just a couple of realizations and then we'll go. Anything you're taking away from the discussion, from the reading, from the kirtan, from life itself, you have to share so we can all empathize and be part of the experience together.
I was just thinking about in the translation of the Kevalashtakam 6th verse, I think, it was talking about people forget about chanting the holy name, and even though the holy name is a priceless gem, they see it to be a shard of broken glass instead. And I was just thinking about that, and relating it to, recently in a lecture you were saying Krishna gives the same thing to everybody, but only a few people choose to take it. And yet last Youth Jam you were saying that the holy name is more merciful than Krishna himself. So, but it's just that some people open up to it and some people don't. So just
nice, yeah. Nicely done. How'd it
go? So also in the Keshavashtakam, in the second verse, I think, it talked about how Maya and Brahma, and from the sky and the grass, and then it tells you that Krishna saves everything. The holy name saves you. So I really like that point. That saves you from everything.
Anyone? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, right back here.
I really like the fourth stanza of the translation. There is no certainty when the last breath will come and put an abrupt halt to all one's material plans. Therefore, it is wise to always practice chanting from very childhood. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
Haribol. Couple more. Yes.
For a while now, I've been struggling with finding the enthusiasm or greed for devotional service. And today, while discussing the mood of the Gopis, I realized that was a solution, to pray to Srimati Radharani and just pray that I can get the mood of the Gopis slowly, slowly.
Haribo! Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for singing this song. I'm taking that don't just fall in love with Krishna, but fall in love again and again with Krishna. Thank you.
Baba.
I've been every evening I've been starting to read sing the prayers of the Radharani. It's called Radha Kripa Katakshikasta Radha, written by Lord Shiva. And I was just thinking how it's so beautiful, because whenever you read something that's glorifying Radha, Krishna.
Haribo. Thank you. Sorry.
Whenever you read something glorifying Radha Krishna, your mind becomes so peaceful and satisfied, other than whenever you're doing some other things, like material things, like for example, watching television. I mean, for some time you might be happy, but then you would want more and more and more, and then you would get engrossed into it. So I was just thinking how when you read scriptures or anything, it gives you unlimited happiness, while other things, they give you temporary happiness, which yeah.
Haribo. I like that word, engross. It sounds like you become engrossed. I don't know if you could look up the etymology, someone, because we become grossified by looking at the material energy, relating to it, then all of a sudden we have a jada buddhi. Jada buddhi parihari prasada bhujani kari. Okay, last one is the engrossing. Yes, Manjula Kanta.
Maharaj, this Kevalashtakam is something that we learned from Ananya Radhika Mataji. We were on a trip, and a lot of Matajis were in one van, and Ananya decided to teach us a song, and she picked this one. And I remember all through the trip, we were practicing it again and again. She taught us stanza by stanza. And I was thinking when you were teaching this song that, of all the memories in a lifetime of experiences, even in that trip, that one memory of learning the Kevalashtakam stayed with us for a long, long time. It's still fresh in our hearts. And that is, for me, personally, it's an example of how being in the association of devotees is everything. It's that memory that we want to hold on to when time comes, because that memory will bring Krishna with it.
Haribo. Was it the same tune that Monisha taught us today? Did you sing it in the same tune? Okay, let's hear the tune.
Actually, I was in the office today when I was listening to your jam, and you were asking for the tune. I really wanted to.
I was looking for you. I couldn't find it.
So I'll just quickly share the tune that Ananda Radhika Mataji taught us. Madhuram madhuri phyopi mangali phyopi mangalam pavanam pavani phyopi hari namiva kevalam abrahmatam vaparyantam sarvam maya mayam jagat satyam satyam puna satyam hari nameva kevalam saguru sapita chapi samata bandavopi sa shiksha yeche sada smartum hari nameva kevalam निश्वासे नहि निश्वासा कदारुद्धो भविष्यति कीर्तनीयामतो बाल्या हरिर्नामेव केवलं हरि सदा वसेतात्र यत्र भागवता जना गायन्ति भक्तिभावेन हरिर्नामेव केवलम् अहो दुःखं महादुःखं दुःखादुःखातरं यथा काचार्थं विस्मृतं रत्ना हरिर्नामेव केवलं दीयतां दीयतां कर्णो नियतां नियतां वचा गीयतां गीयतां नित्यं हरिर्नामेव केवलं तृणीकृत्या जगत्सर्वं राजते सकलोपरि चिदानन्दमया शुद्धं हरिर्नामेव केवलं हरिर्नामेव केवलं हरिर्नामेव केवलम्.
That was amazing. What a raga. And the other one was amazing too. So now we're going to have to sing both ways. It's really beautiful. Thank you. And Kunja Sevika, thank you for bringing it up to sing the song. Hare Krishna. Well, we did what we could. Birds fly in the sky as high as they're able. And we flapped our wings a little bit, tried to get off the ground towards the spiritual world. And we did a little damage to the material energy today, for those of you who like to smash things. And the damage has been done. It can't be taken back, which is good news. So we all take rest and remember that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, speaking to us through all his disciples, coming down through the disciplic succession, we're right on the wire. And those who stay there and take the Mahamantra every day and try to enter into the mood of service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will utilize this lifetime. And at the end, we'll see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. Everyone who thinks that's a good idea, please say Hare Krishna. Panchakalpadurvishya kripasindhabevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Anantakoti Vaishnavindaki Jai. Is that mine? Yes.